Determining our love language is critical. People don't give and receive love in the same way. Most people think the way we want to be loved is the way that others want to be loved. When you speak different languages, it becomes difficult to stay in love and to fill each other's emotional needs. So, God is so good, and I tell you, one of my most favorite things about God is that He gives us a new beginning every time we need a new beginning. So I just feel like, that's why you're here. I'm not saying your marriage is in trouble. I'm just saying, you know what, I hadn't done it right, and so I just need a fresh start, or I need a new beginning. And so I commend you for taking time out of your schedule to be here with us Friday evening and all day today, and I just believe that you're going to be getting something out of it. So I'm going to start by reading a little excerpt out of this book. It's The 5 Love Languages, written by Dr. Gary Chapman, and he was on an airplane with a guy, and so this is just the conversation that they had. At 30,000 feet, somewhere between Buffalo and Dallas, he put his magazine in his seat pocket, turned in my direction, and asked, "What kind of work do you do?" "Well, I do marriage counseling and lead marriage enrichment seminars," I said matter-of-factly. "Well, I've been wanting to ask someone this for a long time," he said. "What happens to love after you get married?" Relinquishing my hopes of getting a nap, I asked, "Well, what do you mean?" "Well," he said, "I've been married 3 times, and each time it was wonderful before we got married, but somehow after the wedding it all fell apart. All the love I thought I had for her and the love she seemed to have for me evaporated. I'm a fairly intelligent person. I operate a successful business, but I don't understand it." "Well, how long were you married?" I said. "The first one lasted about 10 years. The second time we were married, 3 years, and the last one almost 6 years." "Did your love evaporate immediately after the wedding, or was it a gradual loss?" I inquired. "Well, the second one went wrong from the very beginning. I don't know what happened. I really thought we loved each other, but the honeymoon was a disaster, and we never recovered. We only dated 6 months. It was a whirlwind romance. It was really exciting, but after the marriage, it was a battle from the beginning. In my first marriage, we had 3 or 4 good years before the baby came. After the baby was born, I felt like she gave her attention to the baby, and I no longer mattered. It was as if her one goal in life was to have a baby, and after the baby, she no longer needed me." "Well, did you tell her that?" I asked. "Oh, yes, I told her. She said I was crazy. She said I did not understand the stress of being a 24-hour nurse. She said I should be more understanding and help her more. I really tried, but it didn't seem to make any difference. After that, we just grew further apart. After a while, there was no love left, just deadness. Both of us agreed that the marriage was over. In my last marriage, I really thought that one would be different. I'd been divorced for 3 years. We dated each other for 2 years. I really thought we knew what we were doing, and I thought that perhaps for the first time, I really knew what it meant to love someone. I genuinely felt that she loved me. After the wedding, I don't know what happened. I continued to express love to her as I had before marriage. I told her how beautiful she was. I told her how much I loved her. I told her how proud I was to be her husband. But a few months after marriage, she started complaining about petty things at first, like my not taking the garbage out or not hanging up my clothes. Later, she went to attacking my character, telling me she didn't feel she could trust me, accusing me of not being faithful to her. She became a totally negative person. Before marriage, she was never negative. She was one of the most positive people I'd ever met. That's one of the things that attracted me to her. She never complained about anything. Everything I did was wonderful, but once we married, it seemed I could do nothing right. I honestly don't know what happened. Eventually, I lost my love for her and began to resent her. She obviously had no love for me. We agreed there was no benefit to our living together any longer. So we split. That was a year ago. So my question is, what happens to love after the wedding? Is my experience common? Is that why we have so many divorces in our country? I can't believe that it happened to me 3 times. And those who don't divorce, do they learn to live with the emptiness? Or does love really stay alive in some marriages? If so, how? Well, these questions are questions that thousands of married and divorced people are asking today. And the answer is people speak different love languages. Determining our love language is critical. People don't give and receive love in the same way. Most people think the way we want to be loved is the way that others want to be loved. When you speak different languages, it becomes difficult to stay in love and to fill each other's emotional needs. So, the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, physical touch. Think about your love language as the primary language that you speak. Let's say you speak English and your spouse speaks Chinese. How will you communicate? Well, in this case, you're going to have to learn English or you're going to have to learn Chinese, depending on what language your spouse speaks. We're going to say that our love tank is equal to our emotional needs, similar to the fuel tank in our car. If your car isn't full, then it's not going to run correctly. It's the same thing with your love tank. So we need to do periodic checks on our love tank, because when they run out, we tend not to run correctly either, or for sure our marriage doesn't run correctly. Let's go to that attraction phase. Do you remember that? Think about the first time you met your spouse. You were so in love. You just knew this phase would last forever. You wanted to be together day and night. You were attracted to several things. And if we were truthful, we also probably wore rose-colored glasses. They act in a certain way or do something, but we don't think they can do any wrong. So I want to tell you about Roger and I's first date. Well, first of all, when I met him, I remember seeing him, and we met July 4th, 1986 at the Clarendon 4th of July Rodeo and Dance. And I remember seeing him in his Wrangler jeans and his cowboy hat, and he tall, dark, and handsome, and I thought, wow, I'd sure like to meet that guy. Well, anyway, we hit it off, and we started talking about tractors and farming, and we both were going to tech, and anyway, it was an instant attraction. And so, rock on a little bit, he asked me out on a date. I was in Dallas, I'd graduated, I was working my first job, and he was still in school, so he called and asked me to fly into Lubbock, and we were going to go to the George Strait concert. So I got off the plane, and we went straight to the Civic Center in Lubbock, Texas, and the concert was amazing. We were walking back to the car, and he hiked his leg and passed gas right before we got to the pickup. So those rose-colored glasses that I just mentioned, I had them on. It was like he could have slapped me across the face. It wouldn't have mattered. I was so infatuated with him. It was like, oh, well, that didn't bother me. He said, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that. And I was thinking, well, I really can't believe you did it either, but it's okay. And I said, oh, don't worry about it. I have an older brother, so, that's no big deal. But anyway, those are those rose-colored glasses that I'm talking about, how they really do aggravating things, but they don't bother you in that infatuation stage. That attraction stage usually lasts about 2 years, and then all of a sudden, love begins to fade a little bit, and you begin to see the negative things that your partner that bother you, that you once would ignore. Well, that's where we really need to just dig in. And you quickly need to realize that love is not a feeling, it's a commitment. We need to identify our weaknesses, we need to feel worthy of love, and we need to work on emotional communication that can sustain the relationship. It is time to adopt a new way of thinking and define your expectations from your partner and lay the groundwork for building a successful relationship. So the first language we're going to talk about is words of affirmation. Mark Twain once said, I can live 2 months on a good compliment. So that means if you're taking that path, that you would only have to come up with 6 compliments a year, right? Well, the Bible also says that the power of life and death are in the tongue. Your words are powerful. Think how you feel when you receive a compliment. For those who this is your first love language, you desire to hear those positive things, those compliments, those words of affirmation from your partner. It can be simple. You look nice, or wow, supper was delicious. Or maybe it's a thank you, just a simple thank you. Thanks so much for helping out with the kids whenever I was running my errands. Or thanks for organizing the garage and keeping it so clean. Maybe your spouse is wanting to try something new. Well, you need to use encouragement to help inspire them and give them courage and push them in the direction they want to go. Use kind words even when you're harboring resentment and living in the past. Really, we should probably just clarify that by saying it's useless to live in the past. Leave failures behind and live in the present. Forgive your partner and create an environment where you share kind words. We always need to realize the tone we use and whether we're nagging or encouraging. A client of Dr. Chapman's walked into his office and she said, I can't believe my husband hadn't painted the bedroom after 9 months of telling him to do so. And she was just really put out with it. And Dr. Chapman suggested, well, why don't, for the next several weeks, you just start affirming him and complimenting him and pointing out all the great things that he is doing. And she was pretty skeptical about it. She thought, I don't think that's going to work. But she said, I'll try it. She came back in his office and she said, well, after 3 weeks, he's painted the bedroom. So it really does work. We should focus on complimenting instead of criticizing. So the next love language we're going to talk about is quality time. In today's world, we're busier than ever. We divide our time between work, friends, family, children events, ministry. When we get home from work, we eat supper, we get the kids' homework done, bath time, get them to bed, and then we may just fall in our chairs and just kind of want to check out and watch TV. But FYI, sitting in your recliners in the living room watching TV is not considered quality time. Quality time is your undivided attention. Focus your attention on your spouse. Go on a date. Go on a walk. Prepare a meal together. Quality time allows you to share love, respect, and to appreciate each other. Roger doesn't actually like to go to the mall, and really going to malls isn't that big of a thing anymore, but back when going to the mall was a big thing, he realized quality time was it is my top love language, and he would just go with me. He recognized just us spending time together. He'd find a little chair outside the waiting room, and he would tell me to come out after I tried on different things, and he would kind of give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down. But that was just his way of saying, I love you, and I want to spend time with you. So therefore, I'm always willing to jump in the pickup and go make the circle around the farm and check the crops and check the cattle with him, or run for parts or whatever, because that's when we can spend uninterrupted quality time. It doesn't have to be all about you. A few don'ts, though, and he mentioned some of these. Don't go to dinner and answer your phone. Don't answer text. But what that says is, this is more important than you are. And it's aggravating for the person that's just craving to get in your world, that wants all of your attention. It's very aggravating. And I tell you what, this watch, it's even worse than the phone. Like, my watch is always dinging and vibrating, and I'm going, what was that? What was that? What was that? It's usually saying stand up or take a moment or take a breath. And I'm like, I probably need to. But anyway, this watch can be distracting too. So just check out all that stuff. Don't check your emails. Don't get on Facebook or social media or all those sports ESPN apps that send all those alerts. Just turn them off. You've got to listen intently. This really is an intentional thing. This isn't just going to happen unless you make it happen. So a very special quality time moment happened for me this year, and actually it was with my boys. They're almost 30 and 32, and so for my 59th birthday, they gave me a card, and in that card was just a piece of paper folded up that said, "Mom, we want to take you out all day. We want to go shopping. We want to take you to lunch. We want you to buy whatever you want to buy, and we just want to spend time with you." And I was trying to get to the bottom of it. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. They thought of that. Did their wives tell them to do that, or was that their idea? But I did hear one of my daughter-in-laws say, they recognize quality time as my love language. And so they were probably prodding, but they did it. Well, it took us like 9 months to get it on the calendar. So I was almost 60 before I cashed in on the birthday prize. But we went and started with lunch. And then we went to this little boutique, and I was looking for those cute little tennis shoes with the stars and the glitter on them. And then we went and I needed new perfume, and I wanted a necklace. And so I drug them to all these places, and they just were kind of standing there, and it brought up lots of good conversation. The ladies that waited on us are like, "What are y'all doing?" And so we got to kind of tell them, well, we're just spending the day together. My boys know that this is their way of saying, "Mom, we love you, and we want to, give you this undivided attention." So that was really special. And Roger can be very romantic. He has to work at it sometimes, and he'll tell you that, but he knows how to do it. So see, when you prove to your wife, or a wife, if you prove to your husband that you can do those kind of things, then you're going to have to keep doing them, because they're like, "Well, why'd you stop doing that? I mean, I know you can do it. You did it once." So he's always like, "Well, what's romantic to you?" And in my mind, I'm like, well, if I had to tell you what's romantic to me, that's really not that romantic. So obviously, things in the quality time category are very romantic to me. So on our 10th wedding anniversary, he took it upon himself to call his mom, have her babysit the kids, and he planned this whole weekend in San Antonio, got a fancy hotel on the Riverwalk, and we just went and spent time together. And that's still, we've had lots of anniversaries since then, and they've all been good, but that one stands out because he planned it all, and he's the one that did that just for me. On the flip side of that, though, and he mentioned this a little bit, occasionally I have to say to him, "Okay, I'm feeling like I'm about 10th on the priority list, and I need to be moved up quickly to the top of the list." And he's real good to put the phone down, or for us to, he says, "Okay, tomorrow at lunch or tomorrow night, we're gonna go on a date. We're gonna spend some time." So, you just have to carve it out. All right, the next love language is receiving gifts. Sometimes we think these people are materialistic, but that really isn't true. Gifts don't have to be expensive, and they can come in many forms. The gift itself doesn't matter. It's the act of giving that matters the most. Every gift you give your spouse resonates with the love you have for them. The whole process is important. The fact that you thought of it, the fact that you took time to make it or to buy it, and then the act of presenting it makes them feel very special and loved. What's going to happen if you showered your boyfriend or girlfriend with gifts all up until you got married, and then all of a sudden you decided to stop after you got married? What kind of message does that send? They're going to immediately think, "Well, gosh, they don't love me anymore." So it can be simple, like their favorite coffee, their favorite tea, candy, just any little bitty thing that it doesn't have to be a big thing, but it's a small investment in your relationship. And you need to do this regularly. As a matter of fact, Dr. Chapman says probably weekly you need to be doing some kind. If your spouse's love language is receiving gifts, it needs to be a weekly occurrence. Acts of service is the next love language we're going to talk about. And acts of service would be considered doing things for your spouse that really don't take much time but have a huge impact on your marriage. They need to be chosen and not forced. We have several areas in our house that I call Roger's problem areas, like right next to his recliner, just kind of junky. A lot of the time we go into the bedroom, and there's a little chair that kind of gets stuff just thrown on it. And then you could even go on into the sink and around the sink. And then if you go in the closet, beware in the closet. But anyway, sometimes I'm nagging. Or as a matter of fact, sometimes I'm just like, I'm just going to do it because it's not getting done. And somebody's coming over. But what melts me the most is when he picks all those things up. And he kind of winks at me and says, well, got the problem areas all picked up. But, that can be a bone of contention. And one of my top love languages is acts of service. I tend to like to just do things for people. He was just a lay director on a men's walk to Emmaus last weekend, and Bill did the music. And there's a lot of behind the scenes things that go on with that weekend. And I just kind of picked up the ball on a lot of that, and I just typed his list for him and helped him figure out the room situations and all those kind of things. And he recognized all that, and he said, you know what, I really appreciate that. I couldn't have done this weekend without you, and I love you. And that just comes natural to me, is to just acts of service. And so when someone loves me that way, that means a lot to me. So anyway, Gary Chapman even said that one time he was leaving on a trip and he noticed the trash needed to be taken out. His wife was already gone that day, and he thought, I'm going to take the trash out, and when she gets home, she's going to see that I took the trash out, and in her mind, it's going to be like, I love you. So it's as simple as, just taking the trash out. Sometimes we need to, we've defined roles in the house as well. The wife does all the cooking, the wife does all the bathing of the kids, the wife does all the changing of the diapers. Well, we need to reevaluate a lot of those roles, and we need to realize that sometimes if you would get the vacuum cleaner and go to vacuuming, or if you would take the trash out without being asked, or pick up your problem areas, that says I love you to your spouse. The last love language is physical touch. There's a study that shows babies that were held and touched versus those who weren't held and touched went on to lead healthier emotional lives. If your spouse's love language is physical touch, well, sometimes it can be easy to express love through kissing, holding hands, embracing. All of these communicate emotional love to your spouse. Almost instinctively, in a time of crisis, we hug each other. We may not say a word, but we may just grab that person and hug them. Why? Because physical touch is a powerful communicator of love. Words don't always matter, but your physical touch will communicate that you care. Ask your partner how they want to be touched. Take time to meet each other's physical needs. Remember, you're learning to speak their love language. Physical touch is not my love language, but it's Roger's love language. And I've had to realize how important that is to him. Holding hands, kissing, embracing, and sex. All of these are love touches and emotional lifelines for him. Showing your love daily doesn't have to require much effort. So in summary, you should have determined your primary love language by figuring out what you desire most. What makes you feel good? And then you should have ranked the other 4 in the order of importance. You will want to compare that with your spouse. And now you can communicate how to fill each other's love tanks. Dr. Chapman suggests that for the next 3 weeks, you should sit down 3 times in the next 3 weeks and talk about how full your love tank is. After communicating, share with your spouse how you will work at filling their love tank back up. Communication is at the forefront of every successful marriage. And I think sometimes we want to get in that game of, well, what about me? What about me? What about me? But I guarantee you, when you start making it about them, then they start making it about you. It just works that way. Every relationship goes through the stage where reality sets in, and you have to decide, are you willing to go the distance? Are you just going to fall out of love and leave? Are you going to stay, stick it out, put your spouse's needs before your needs? And I want to end with a personal story, which was a huge revelation in my life. early in our marriage, there was a lot of strife caused by the fact that we had to get the last word. We're both babies of the family. We're kind of scrappy and stubborn at times, and we were good at it. Bill and Timma have witnessed this, us getting the last word, and it's like, wow, I can't even think that fast. So anyway, one night we kind of had a tiff, and I think I got the last word that night, and I woke up the next morning and I was in my quiet time, and Holy Spirit just nudged me and said, well, you need to tell Roger that you're sorry. Not only that you're sorry, but you need to tell him that you were wrong and that he was right. And I was like, wow, I didn't mind so much telling him I was sorry, but to actually admit that I was wrong and he was right, okay. And y'all just, you just don't know what that did. It kind of melted him, actually, and it transformed our marriage. Think about it. Are you always right? No, you're not. Are you stubborn and by golly, I'm going to be right this time? Yeah, you might be. You need to redeem your spouse, and you need to be the one to just step up. You may be right, but you don't have to just throw that in their face and just be so dogmatic about it. Just be kind, be gentle, admit that you were wrong and they were right. You know, it doesn't really sound like a big deal, but at the time in my life, that was a big, big, big deal. So I want to read Colossians 3:12 through 19 to you. It says, therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, put on tender mercies, kindness, humility, meekness, long-suffering, bearing with one another and forgiving one another. If anyone has a complaint against another, even as Christ forgave you, so you also must do. But above all these things, put on love, which is the bond of perfection, and let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to which also you were called in one body. And be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching, and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. And whatever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. Wives, submit to your own husbands as is fitting to the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and do not be bitter toward them. We need to love unconditionally. We need to work at meeting our spouse's needs, being quick to forgive. Stop thinking about ourselves first. You need to learn your spouse's love language. That's what I hope this whole session has been about. Learn something. Figure out how you can love them the way they feel the most love.
Hey, have you missed an episode, or have you wanted to go back and watch something and say, hey, I want to watch that again? Now you can. If you go on our website and click on the Watch tab, there we have a video player that you can watch the latest episodes from Bill and Roger. They are uploaded every week, and you'll never miss an episode. We invite you to do that. Once again, thank you for watching this morning. Thank you for being a part of this program, this broadcast, this ministry. We know it will bless you as we take ordinary people and empower them to live extraordinary lives with the power of the Holy Spirit. Till next time, God bless you.